Governor, I know what you were doing between August 13th.
You were there.
I was there, and January 19th. I have no idea what it was like when you came back and what your days are like now.
Not unlike what my days were like in post August the 13th. I mean, it was back being the governor of the state of Texas on a full-time basis, and so my days are still, fairly busy with state work. It's a lot of economic development. The last 2 or 3 weeks, there's been a lot of briefings just to get up to speed. It's that time of the year to start thinking about next legislative session, the energy issues that we're going to face, and the power issues that we're going to face. School finance is always an issue every legislative session. What are we going to do on water? We still lead the nation in exports. We're still the #1 state to do business according to Site Selection magazine. So people keep moving to the state of Texas. It's rather unique in that one of the things that we talked about during this presidential campaign was how Texas was doing economically. And some people would say, well, you're up over 8% unemployment. And I said, well, yeah, because there's so many people moving to the state of Texas and there aren't as many jobs to fill all of the people that are moving to the state of Texas. We're creating jobs. As a matter of fact, all the jobs that were lost during the recession, we've gained back in the state of Texas. Over 400, almost 450,000 have been reconstituted, been created in the state of Texas. 100% of all the jobs lost have been recreated in this state. In America, in the other 49 states, it's only 36%. So under anyone's calculation, data point, whatever it be, Texas is really doing well compared to the rest of the country. So with that said, in preparation for the next legislative session, making sure that we've got transportation infrastructure, that we've got power, talking about the budget, all of that's still out there going on, and we got some really great projects that are some of them we can't talk about yet because of our confidentiality arrangements with these companies as we go recruit them to Texas. But hopefully in the next 30, 45 days, we'll have some really good news about the continuing saga of Texas being the best place in America to live and raise a family and do business.
Let's look back just a little bit. I want to ask you about that oops moment. I heard you say, I think in a television interview, that we all have our brain freezes, but the difference was that you did yours between 6 to 6.5 million people. I think we all know what it's like. What was it like to do it in front of so many people?
Well, obviously it embarrasses you. I mean, and when the bright lights are on, and trying to reach in there and get that exact thing that you're looking for is elusive. So it's happened to everyone, and I kind of take it as one of those great humbling moments in your life that helps us all become better people from my perspective. Rather not have happened, but the fact is, if you don't hit a few speed bumps in your life, you're probably going down a dead-end road. I think there was a pro football player said that just within the last few days as he was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
After that moment and some other moments, Texans told me, and I thought this myself a little bit, this is not the Rick Perry I know. He's better than this.
We all live and learn is kind of how I look at it. That's behind me, and I learn from it, and I press on. So, people have known me in this state for 11 years from the standpoint of being their governor. So, you're correct in that sense, but it happens. I mean, before this interview's over with, you may forget something you're supposed to ask me, but it's not going to be the end of the world, and it wasn't the end of the world for me. It didn't help in a presidential campaign, but the fact is, debates are not what governing's all about. If we got a great debater in the White House today, and his debate skills, frankly, aren't helping him a lot with an economy that is rather hard. A lot of people that are out of work today would rather have less of a debater, I would bet, and more of someone who has a track record of creating jobs and has a philosophical position relative to job creation and so they can take care of their family. But that's a debate for another time.
You had major back surgery on July 1st, and I would think that for an average guy with an average job or career, it would be a tough recovery. You ran for president after having done that. Was that, in retrospect, difficult?
Well, if I had it to do over again, we would have started this election process substantially earlier. We got in late, and we got in late because this was not something that I felt compelled to do. I didn't feel called to do it. And over the summer, there were a lot of people who said, we really want you to do this. We really need you to get in this race. You have a great record, and if you can do for America what you've done for Texas, that's a great place to start. And so, but looking back on it, Jay, and trying to say, oh, I do this different or I do that different, look, it is what it is. And we're dealt a certain number of cards in our hand, and we play them, and we did, and we were not successful in the presidential bid this time. So, there may be a next time. And I can promise you one thing, I sure learned a lot. I learned a lot about good and bad, about states and the process, how it works. And so if you're not learning, you probably need to be out of the game.
Were you in a lot of pain?
No, not really. I mean, you saw me enough. I mean, you'd know whether or not I was in pain, and I wasn't. So that was, the back surgery, it's really interesting. The residual of being through a surgery and recovering from it probably had a bigger impact than I realized. But I got up every day and tried to do the best job I could do, and it is a grind. It is a tremendous effort. I'm sure that Governor Romney and Speaker Gingrich and Senator Santorum and Paul and Pawlenty and Bachmann, all of the people who ran will tell you it's probably one of the hardest things they've ever done in their life from a physical and a mental standpoint. As well it should be. President of the United States is a tough job, and we need to have people who have a great ability to test themselves. But as you look back on it, a substantial number of presidents have run before and been unsuccessful, and they ran again.
Anything in particular besides getting in earlier that you would do differently?
Not really. I think there's a lot of time in the future to analyze what you might do differently or how you might prepare differently, but at this particular time, I'm not too focused on that. I'm looking forward and getting ready for the next legislative session and making sure that Texas has the water that it's going to need and the power to continue to lure these businesses into our state and transportation infrastructure to move people and products around. That's what's important to me at the moment.
The grind aspect, was that a surprise, or was there any moment where you went, wow, this is not Texas, this is really, really different? Maybe the fact that everything you say is just to the minute little word.
Look, it's different. I mean, I don't fool anybody. If you you leave your hotel room in the morning, and you might want to be careful what you say in your hotel room. You're on, and it's taped, videoed. There's somebody with a long-range microphone, and it's just a really interesting, and it is what it is. And if you're going to join the fray, understand that's what it is. So it was fun. I had a great time. I would not, in any form or fashion, tell you that I wish I hadn't done it. I am so glad I did it. And the issues that we brought to the debate are still being talked about. I mean, we were the first ones to raise the issue of the 10th Amendment. We were the first one to talk about flat tax. We were the first one to talk about the war on religion. I mean, that's still raging out there. And I hear less about the 10th Amendment and the flat tax as when we were in the debate and in the discussion, which I wish we were hearing more about. But I intend to continue to be involved in the national dialogue and talk about the 10th Amendment, talk about our flat tax, talk about the budgeting problems that they've got in Washington, D.C., and how that America needs to look more like these states that have governors that do respect the 10th Amendment. I mean, Bobby Jindal and Susana Martinez, and I mean, there's Rick Scott and Mitch Daniels. I mean, just a great bunch of governors across the country who truly understand that Washington needs to be less centralized and allow the power to flow back to the states, whether it's Medicaid, whether it's transportation infrastructure, whether it's educating our children, whether it's how health care delivered. I mean, the list goes on and on. But I'm going to be involved with that. I'm going to continue to travel across the country, go to RGA events, and frankly, if there are Democrat governors that believe, like I do, that they should be freed from Washington's one-size-fits-all mentality, I hope that they would be open to having discussions with us about allowing them to make the decisions and their legislators and the people in their states that best suit their people rather than one-size-fits-all like we see in D.C.
Given your involvement in that, wouldn't a race for governor seem kind of rinky-dink?
You talk about
a re-election in 14?
Up to Texas?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I mean, this state matters. Whether it's the textbooks we decide upon or whether it's how we build transportation infrastructure, how we deliver health care, how we educate our children, all of those matter in the United States because it's Texas. So not at all. I happen to think that being the governor of Texas, I've said many times, is the best job in the world. I still believe that. I wanted to be the President of the United States because I love this country. I wanted to run for and win that election so that I could go to Washington, D.C. and help devolve the power back to the states, to make New Mexico and Oklahoma and Arkansas and Pennsylvania and the other 49 states more consequential in their citizens' lives. But if Washington was fixed and you said you want to be the president, you want to be the governor of Texas, I would be hard-pressed not to pick the governor of Texas. It's a great job.
Are you leaning toward running again?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think it's absolutely on the radar screen for me. I mean, it's way early. I mean,
but you're leaning toward it. Yeah,
I mean, if I had to make a decision today, I'd say, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to give it consideration. But again, it's way early. We'll get the session over with in June of 2013. I would suggest to be probably a good time to come back and ask me that. My instincts are you probably asked me before, but.
Governor, it may be legal, but is it right to allow a tiny group of veteran politicians to retire and collect a pension, without ever leaving your job?
Yeah, I see it as, look, this is the rule of 80 in the state of Texas. I mean, when someone spent that much time in that job, and we see it in a number of places. I mean, people serve 20 years in the federal government and then go to work somewhere else. I mean, so the idea that somehow or another that's inappropriate, I certainly don't think so. And as a matter of fact, it's a fairly small group of people. You're correct in that, because there aren't many people that are willing to give 30 plus years of their life to a particular pursuit, in my case, public service that I've chosen to do. And so the rule of 80 is what they put in the state of Texas, and absolutely. I mean, I would suggest to you that it's rather inappropriate if you've earned something if you don't take it and take care of your family.
We knew about this because of the federal disclosures are tougher than the state disclosures. Mm-hmm. Would you be willing to give us the paperwork that you signed for that, and what will you do to make sure that the public in Texas can know about this if somebody's not running for president?
I'm pretty sure the public in the state of Texas knows about this.
They do now, but because of the federal disclosure. That's what I'm saying. Would you be willing to give us the paperwork that you signed?
What does my paperwork have to do? Here's the point. If this is a legislative issue, this isn't about me. This was put into place by the legislature, and if your point is it's not appropriate, then the legislature will change it. And so, my salary, my retirement, all of those are dealt with by the legislature. So if there's something that needs to be changed, I'm sure the legislature will look at it, and I'll work with them.
Do you think the public should know
The public knows,
They,
Jay.
they do in your case. And of course, you have released your tax returns, which you don't have to do, and you've been way ahead on that.
Every year
going back
since
to
1980s.
Right. And we have that, but most people, a lot of people don't give their tax returns.
Well, then you need to be talking to them.
Okay. Thank you.